Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today we're going to discuss our favorite dragon in chains who has committed a mysterious sin, Imbibitor Lunae. Just wondering, what do you guys think about Imbibitor Lunae in his chains? I think it's actually kind of interesting how he thinks he looks good in them. Today we're going to go over what we know from the live stream, which is going to be going over his value, what he offers in team comps. And without further ado, let's begin my analysis on what we know currently about Imbibitor Lunae. Imbibitor Lunae will be an imaginary destruction class character, which will be the first of his kind. And he also has quite a similar appearance to one of our favorite teammates, HENG. I won't be getting into why that is, but if you know, you know. Imbibitor Lunae has quite a skill kit, so he's able to enhance his basic attacks with his skill up to 3 times. Each enhancement will take 1 skill point to use, up to a maximum of 3 skill points, and will increase his damage per enhancement, as well as how many hits he will do with his enhanced basic attack. Each skill enhancement also grants a new cool animation and allows him to do AoE damage in comparison to when he doesn't enhance a skill. His basic attack will only do single target damage, so with the enhancement it now grants him a more powerful basic attack with AoE damage. His skill seems to be very skill point hungry though as a result, which honestly it is, but there's a solution to this to be able to take advantage of him having maximum enhancements, or at least 1 to 2 enhancements every time he's able to attack. His ultimate will deal AoE damage to all enemies, and he receives these charges, which you can see on his character by his health bar. These charges will allow you to enhance his basic attacks with this skill and use a charge per enhancement rather than a skill point, which allows for a decent solution to how skill point hungry he is. So in a sense, it's trading one of these charges instead of using a skill point, which is awesome. Of course, you may not be able to have these charges at all times, but this is where an energy regeneration rope can be quite useful, or even Tingyun's ultimate, which I'll get into suggestions onto how to build him later on, as well as team comp recommendations. As for his technique, it hits all enemies at the start of battle, as well as grants him the charges I just mentioned to begin the battle, which can allow your battle to start off without having to use as many skill points. So I would definitely recommend whenever you do use him to definitely use his technique. Whatever buffers you have on the team, buff up his damage before, and then of course use his technique, so then you won't have to use as many skill points. Lastly, his talent allows him to have more hits with each enhancement with the skill, as mentioned before when I was going over how his skill works. Overall, his skill kit has immense potential to make him incredibly powerful with the maximum charges and stacks he can get with his basic attacks and skill, and can definitely make him one of our strongest DPS characters depending on his multipliers, his scaling, and so on. Before we get into recommendations though, if you are enjoying so far, consider subscribing for more style content, and now let's carry on. As for ideal partners I can recommend, all of our current Harmony characters can have a use with Imbibitor Lunae, but I'd personally recommend Yukong and Tingyun the most. Assuming that you're able to keep up with the skill point management of Lunae, then you'll be able to take advantage of Yukong's buffs. Due to Imbibitor Lunae having multi-hitting attacks, each attack should be able to crit, similarly to how Jingyuin has his Lightning Lord. When he strikes down, each hit has a chance to crit, so crit rate and crit damage will definitely matter when it comes to Imbibitor Lunae's skill kit, similarly to Jingyuin. Yukong is able to buff attack, crit rate and crit damage, and even imaginary damage of allies with one of her traces, which can highly benefit Lunae, as he can take advantage of all these buffs to massively increase his damage potential. Skill point management will be the #1 thing to consider when using these two together, but if you have good energy upkeep and possibly skill point positive team members alongside Yukong and Lunae, then it should work very well. Tingyun would be useful as well due to the fact that she can grant Lunae attack, damage, and energy increases with her ultimate, which is beneficial as the more times he's able to use his ultimate alongside his skill, he'll be able to use his maximum enhanced basic attacks for maximum damage potential. You could possibly use both of these characters on the same team, once again if your skill points management is good, which can be more so a hyper carry comp, and I think this can actually work pretty well, but of course this would need testing once he's here, but for an idea sense it may work. As for Asta, she's great for speed increases in attack, while Branya is good for her buffs and advancing Lunae forward. But I do think, once again, Tingyun and Yukong will be more fitting based on what we know about him currently. Yukong is also on his banner, which is a major benefit, being able to get copies of her for more buffs that she grants through her Eidolons and benefits for the team. Silverwolf can be a great option as well as Pela for allowing Lunae to deal more damage to enemies, and Welt can be an option if you can upkeep your skill points and have good management to take advantage of his skill kit. Mono Imaginary can definitely be possible, but you will definitely need to be wary of how many skill points you are using and how skill points positive your team can be, or if your team will end up being very skill points negative. You'll likely want a buffer, debuffer, Lunae, and sustain. As for building Lunae, I would highly recommend the Imaginary set due to it providing more imaginary damage and crit rate and crit damage under the right conditions. Since this skill allows for him to be multi-hitting, there's a good chance he'll be good at weakness breaking, which can result in enemies being imprisoned. And as a result, he can take full advantage of the imaginary set, assuming that he's able to weakness break them as well. We'll have to wait and see as to how good his weakness breaking is, but with the assumption that it is decent like Jingyuan, then this will be really promising. Also, since it's multi-hitting, once again, you'll want to build as much crit rate and crit damage as possible. You'll likely want to go for a planar set that increases your crit rate, which can be the inert or rutilant set, and these two can be good options overall, but if you don't have those and you would rather use something like the space set, that could be okay as well. I would probably though opt for something that can increase that crit further, just so he crits as much as possible. As for light cones, since he's a destruction class character, it's likely that a secret vow can be a good option for those that cannot pull his signature due to how it allows for damage increases. A secret vow is a pretty good light cone for a majority of destruction class characters, so I would definitely consider this light cone. If you do have Clara's light cone though, you can consider using this light cone as well. Once we get more information though on his scaling, I can likely do calculations just to give you guys which light cone's actually the best. And once we get information on Lunae's light cone itself, I will be doing a light cone review and giving you guys some calculations as to how good his light cone is. That'll be all for my pre-analysis though on Lunae. Overall, Imbibitor Lunae has immense potential to become one of our strongest DPS characters, and with a proper team, he may be able to be in the same boat as Zila in terms of damage, which is incredible to consider. I do think that his element is very good and fitting because, once again, that imaginary set will be highly beneficial, and I do definitely think this will likely be his best in slot set. I will be releasing a pre-farm guide very soon though for Imbibitor Lunae, so you can prepare for him, and I will release my guide on him once he's out. So if you're interested in that, consider subscribing to ensure you see when I upload those guides. Let me know how you guys feel about Imbibitor Lunae, if you think he has potential to be Zila levels in strength, or do you think Zila will reign queen of DPS? Personally, I think that he will definitely be able to make S+ depending on his multipliers, but I am very hopeful for this character. So let me know what you guys think as well. Like always though, I hope you all have a great one. Peace.